I am out in beautiful Ixtapa, Zihuatanejo, Mexico at the DoD 5-Star World Healing and Training Retreat. So today we have Be Brave Worldwide. This is going to be an 8-part series on what is Be Brave, what is energy, what is frequency, how can that affect my body, and the healing properties of honey. Last week was part 5, and that I tell everybody to go check out the previous videos. If you're interested about frequency, about honey, about the healing properties that this can actually affect your body, on how there's dirty energy out there, on how there's clean energy out there, and what we can do for our bodies. And so last week was on the actual honey and the healing properties of the honey and what it can do for your body. And in general, honey it's a miracle, because the thing is, it's the only food that will never go bad. You could survive off honey. Yeah, you're gonna feel a little wigged out sometimes, but you could survive off honey. And so I have 3 wonderful gentlemen on today that are gonna take us through part 6, where we're going to go into the magnets and how that sacred kind of geometry within the actual magnets itself can affect us, can affect our lifestyles, can affect our food, our families, our friends, our sleep, and how this is so important for our well-being. So how you doing today, guys?
Good. Good
to be with you, Sage. Yeah, good to be with you.
Great to be back, Sage. Hello.
Hello from Canada.
Yeah.
Yep. Hi, everybody. Jake Cunningham from the U.S. here on the road, but I wanted to just encourage everybody to ask questions today. Fill up the chat. We'll be answering questions at the end of the discussion and the presentation. But how are you, Braveheart Nation? Welcome to Be Brave.
So who's going to kickstart it off?
Start it off there, Jake.
All right. Well, I want to just do a mini recap. So this is part 5 of an 8-part series, everybody. And if you have not tuned in, like Sage said, make sure to go back to those previous episodes. We started with a story that we feel is very profound, that really sets the context and foundation for everything we're talking about today, which today is specializing with the pure wave cell. But we talked about the sacred design, sacred geometry, frequency, how it's been a part of our culture and our ancient wisdom of the spiritual to the scientific side of things. We talked about the present day structure, about what we're doing now with frequency in future times and present times, with how we use it in diagnostics today. Yet we still haven't crossed that bridge to how it's being implemented into the healing. Still, I think we are pioneers.
So, Jake, if you can hear, you're kind of, you're cutting here.
I'll pick it up from there. You're in a bad zone there, brother.
Yeah, he's in a bad zone. So what we'll do is we'll pick it up is that Jake was finishing off is the previous videos that we did. So we really encourage everybody to watch those. So today we're picking up on really giving you down to the details of what the pure wave does in performing some of the things that it really is good at functioning at. And that's why we have brought on our esteemed colleague, Bob Conley, which I'd like to introduce Bob. Bob, how are you? And welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. It's this is one of my very first, whatever you call these webcasts. You know,
yeah.
I've been burying myself away testing the cell, and I guess it's now the time to talk about it here.
Well, and the thing is, separate from us is that we've gone out and we've been telling the audience, we've gone out and done a lot of things with the bees and beekeepers. But what Bob has done, which has been magnificent for us, is he's done a lot of side research and he's gone and done his own thing because, and Bob, I'm going to let you explain, he really does specialize in PEMF, pulse electromagnetic frequencies, as well as other things, but he really knows his stuff there. And he took the pure wave cell and did a lot of different things and experiments with it. What I want to do is, if Jake, can you hear me, Jake, onto there?
I can't.
Can
I
you?
can't.
Yeah.
Can you hear me
Okay.
okay, Brent?
Yeah. So what I thought I'd do is I'd like to play the video first. If we'll plug it in, play a little 4-minute video, and then I want to bring Bob in and then talk about all the different things that has been done and what's been going on from his viewpoint, separate from this. Okay. So let's start off, audience, because hey, the video explains a lot of things of what we're doing, but then we'll get into the nitty gritty. Okay. So pick it up, Jake, and let's play that, and then we'll come back and we'll chat with Bob.
And Sage and the production team, can you enable me as a co-host or a host so I can share? That'd be great.
Yeah, can you make him the host?
Then I'll be able to share. Yep, make me the host and I'll be able to share that. And this is still disabled. Just let me know and I'll get queued when I'm a host. And this video, again, you guys will share.
He's not the host yet.
The video will also put together a little bit about what I was talking about and where this comes from, but also how this is being used in the world.
Hit admit.
So if you go down to me on the attendance list, the little right side, the dots, you can make me a host or co-host.
Yeah, click him in on the run, and then he'll be able to
Undo
engage
me
the
right
video.
now. Is it not allowing you to do it because it says you're the host on our end?
See if you can plug in the video, Jake.
Yeah, still saying host disable screen sharing. So you know what, Sage, does the team have access? I'll point you right to the video. If you go to Doc of Detox and go to the Be Brave library.
Go to the Doc of Detox Be Brave library.
Yep, and this will be better because the stream will be much more secure from your side. Go to the Be Brave library. And then what you'll be able to do is go down to the Pure Wave Cell video inside the library. You'll have to go to the Be Brave show.
Are you guys doing this right now?
Oh, no, I can share now. Want me to give it a go?
Yeah, give it a go,
I'll
Jake.
do it. I'll see if we can do this. Okay.
Nice.
You can see the screen okay, Brett?
Yeah.
All right. So this, let's enjoy this little video. And actually, Mr. Bob Conley helped us produce this. Enjoy.
Welcome to the world of inventions for energy medicine.
And if it's a delay,
I'm Bea Broda. According to the Canadian Association of Professional Apiculturists, Canada lost almost 50% of their bee population in 2022. Researchers at the University of Waterloo feel insecticides are compromising the bee's immune system. Dr. Magda Havas, Professor Emerita at Trent University School of the Environment, believes magnetic fields also play an important role in the health and wellness of the honeybee population.
We did some research at Trent University where we were studying the effects of radiofrequency radiation on the bees. We had some beehives at a farm and exposed them to current household items that we have that emit wireless radiation. One of the things we noticed is that the bees started coming out of the hive very, very quickly.
You look at their behavior, they're all just quite happily, they're not running around, they're kind of very settled, they're fanning, they're keeping the place cool and protecting. As these ones are running up and down at the entrance. The sounds here is not normal.
Dr. Havas is participating in a long-term research study on the use of geomagnetic fields to enhance insect and human immune systems and negate the effects of environmental. environmental pollution that may be causing the collapse of the honeybee population.
You guys, I'm going to request that Sage, you guys do this from your headquarters. So, do you see where I found it?
Do you see where he found the video? Can you play the video for him?
Yeah, the reason is it'll stream, it'll be more fluent, and apologize, you guys, for the technical delay there. But if you go to the Doc of Detox, and this is good for all the viewers to see as well, you go to the library.
See what he's doing right now, guys?
Yep, follow me along, guys. Library, and then click to see the complete list of guides. And then go to the Be Brave. The Be Brave landing page. And here you're going to find a lot of great information on the previous shows and other downloads. So that's where it is. And then the pure cell videos. Share.
Did we lose
I think
Jake?
we lost Jake there.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. When he picks up on that, see if you guys can fix the technical. Jake, are you back?
I'm back.
Yeah, you know what I want to do? What I want to do while that's getting figured out. Let's go and let's chat with Bob about what's going on until you guys get that figured out, right? So we can play that at the end part of it. So and that's because you're on the road and you're running, right? Like you're on the move. So let's do that, Jake. Let's start to go back and let's talk with Bob and let's get into what we did this year, and then we can, if you get that figured out, we'll play it. Okay. All right. So okay. So all right. I'll head in there. Bob, why don't you tell the audience how you came to meet us? What just your version of how you came into contact with the Pure Wave cell, and just some of the things that you've noticed, and then also studied what's gone on.
Well, I'm producing a film on the medical inventions of Nikola Tesla, and it's called Tesla's Medicine. And it's just got the final mix done today, and it'll be going up on all of the streaming media services, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. And in one of the test markets that we did up here, just outside of Toronto, we had a test screening, and we sort of met you through that. You sort of came to the screening, and you knew one of the people that were in the film, and I had met you a long time ago, maybe 20, 30 years ago. So I looked at that. That's pretty cool synchronicity. And you showed me the cell. And you had said, if you put this inside of a beehive, the bees don't die. You can save the bees. And I was skeptical about this when you first handed it to me, because I get so much, because I'm making feature films about the subjects, I get a lot of suppliers and people that produce this stuff that want to get it in the film to get it exposure. And I get a lot of stuff, and I try to show, priorities to things that sort of have medical device licenses, maybe in another country, that should be exposed here in North America. But it was, I'd had some sort of like a psychic experience many years before that had to do with bees, that I should be helping the bees. And so I paid attention to it, and you gave me a cell, and I started, experimenting with it. And I introduced it to one of the people that I'm profiling in the film, Dr. Magda Havas. And I had been working with her before on bee studies, the effects of wireless technology on bee colonies. I had been doing research with her for over 10 years. And I said to her, well, I think we got this new cell. Maybe we should check it out and see if it works. And after, 7 months of doing my due diligence, testing it on uh, animals and plants and myself, I found out, yeah, it does work. And when you brought me out to one of the openings of the bee hives where you were running an independent study, 30 bees with the cell and 30 bees without the cell. And I brought the cameras out to document this with the Dr. Magda Havas at Trent University. We were really surprised what, we were seeing. So we filmed it, and I ended up pulling the movie out of circulation. It had been going through the film festival circuits, and it's doing quite well on its own without the bees, but after I added the bee segment to it, it did even better. So I'm very happy and pleased with the sort of what it does. And I've started to do we seem to figure out that it does work on bees, and I had been personally experienced with myself what it helps with to relieve some pain that I have up here with a root canal that needs to be replaced. It seemed to have helped that. And especially my cat. That was really one of the first things that I saw work beyond the insect world. So when you're doing scientific studies and you're trying to do them, blinded or double blinded, that's sort of easy to do with plants. And then you move on to insects, and we saw the difference in insects, and we know the plants, the fruits and vegetables last longer. So we know that. The studies that had been done on pathogens in food. So that's all, proved. So would like to try it on animals, and I have a cat. And one day I noticed that there was little droplets of blood everywhere on the floor, and it was quite shocking, and it was coming from the cat. And I took the cat to the vet right away, and they did a test, and they said that she had E. coli, an infection. And I went, oh, well, okay, well, what should we do? And they said, well, we're going to give her antibiotics. And I says, how long will that take to work? And they said, well, about 2 weeks, do a 2-week supply. And I came back home and I said, I know we had done that. You had done that study on pathogens in food, that it treats, E. coli in raspberries and ground chicken. Says, I wonder if it'll work on my cat. So I just locked my cat up in a little cat carrier cage and put the pure wave cell in there for, a couple of hours. And, she said, stop the bleeding. And I was sort of, surprised, because they're saying it takes 2 weeks, and it happened right away. So I thought that was pretty good. That was a sort of preliminary test on that whole process. I kept doing the antibiotics because the vet had said, oh, don't stop when you start, and they says, so we don't know if the cell worked or not, but so just keep going on the antibiotics. And I said, okay. So something happened about 3 months after that. It started happening again. And I went, oh, and I just happened to be with the doctor, had come and visit, to do some studies with what I'm doing. And the doctor says, what are you going to do? And I says, well, I'm going to take it back to the vet. And he said, what did the vet do? And I says, the vet says, to do antibiotics. And he said, well, they're just going to tell you to do antibiotics again, and it's going to be a waste of time. And the antibiotics probably wrecked her whole gut hormone. And he said, just do the magnet, worked before. So I says, well, okay. And, I did it again. And the next day, nothing. So he said, well, you learned a lesson here, is that it worked the first time, and, you shouldn't have continued on with the antibiotics. So it came back. And since then, I've had, no problems with the cat. So we don't know for sure if it was what it is, but that was, a quite interesting thing with the pets. And I think that more, a lot more research, needs to be done with the animals. And I think that's what you're doing.
Yeah, no, but I just wanted to stop for a second because I want to let the audience know, Bob, you're way more than just that. Tesla movie is amazing and everybody should see it. But that's not what you're limited. Bob, you're heavily involved in the PEMF mats. You are involved in a lot of the healing modalities. That's in your movie, but you're also in it on a day-by-day basis. The reason that you've been so helpful to us is because you're already in the world. You weren't doing it separate. So if you could maybe mention a little bit more about your background, first of all, what you're doing on PEMF mats, what kinds of work you're doing there, and then you added the cell to it and what you found out from those studies.
Sure, that's something that I'm doing now. So my background is sort of like disruptive technologies, trying to introduce high-end technology as a way of making your life easier, I guess. And I had been working with a lot of computer companies and myself. And I learned that overexposing yourself chronically to unnatural frequencies that aren't in the environment, can cause some serious health issues if you don't take a break from it and get away. And I was suffering greatly from it because I was an early adopter of this technology. And I met a university professor that we had just spoke about, and she teaches the biological effects of magnetic fields as a 2-year university course. And she said to me that you need a break from all this stuff. And there's some good magnetic fields that are out there too. And she introduced me to pulse magnetic field therapy that she was just starting to research. And that was about 14 years ago. So I've been involved with pulse magnetic field therapy, very, very in depth. The film I've been making, it's taken me 10 years to make, and I traveled all over, almost the whole world to make the film. Spent most of my time in Europe and the former Soviet Union to do this. And I went right back to the history of it, where it was invented. It was all invented by Nikola Tesla. It was this pulse magnetic field therapy is really an invention of Nikola Tesla, and they sort of buried it in around 1924. So a lot of parts of the movie was research into his archives and trying to understand the technology that he invented. That's sort of what the movie's about, Tesla's medicine, the medicine that he used to treat himself. And he spent a lot of time and energy developing commercially, and it was extremely popular. And then it was sort of fell out of favor because they wouldn't teach it in the medical schools in favor of pharmaceuticals. So energy medicine is something that's my specialty. And currently what I'm trying to understand is how to combine the permanent magnets, which are the neodymium magnets in the cell, and combine that with an electromagnet, pulse magnetic field. So we're in the really early researches of it, and I think I'm pretty good at researching, and I haven't found anybody else that's doing it. So I think we're inventing a process here, guys. So
yeah.
So I can share something with you. I've prepared, a little demo of, what combining magnetic field therapy with. So, this is a Tesla coil. Sorry about that. Let me just put the ring on.
And Brent, while Bob's doing that, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
And the boys are ready. The team's ready to play the video whenever we're ready.
Let Bob finish. Let him finish this, because I also want Bob.
Just
I wanted
to let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Bob.
Here is a Tesla coil. Very simple. It's just a coil of wire, and it's actually a patented invention by Nikola Tesla. He patented a coil of wire. It's called the Tesla coil. And you take the two wires and you energize it with electricity, and it turns into electromagnet. And if you turn it on and off, you're pulsing. You're pulsing electromagnetic field. And this is a coil inside of a mat called an IMRS. It's there's not a lot of copper in an IMRS, but what I've been experimenting with is putting the pure wave cell inside the Tesla coil and energizing it. So what's basically a coil that is producing about 1 Gauss, and you put it inside the pure wave cell, which is, I measured it to be 1,000 Gauss, and now you can get, by a Tesla coil that's 1 Gauss, and you add this to it, now you have pulsed magnetic field 1,000 Gauss. So it's quite amazing that the magnetic field of the pure wave cell seems to be spiraling in a geometric pattern. It's not pulsing. It's just sort of like you're in a bubble of a toroid that's going around it at the speed of light, like ripping apart the pathogens because of the magnets are stressing each other. But then when you add this particular to the equation where you're going to pulse it now, you're going to push the magnetic field through the patient and pulls it out, and it gives it quite an astounding effect. So I've got one of my favorite things is, like, this is a pillow by the mass, and this is almost 20 pounds of copper inside here. And I took some Velcro on the pillow and I just stick it on the side. And then when I plug the pillow into the magnetic field frequency generator, now I've got 100 Gauss, because the pillow will make 100 Gauss. And combining it to this, now I have 1,000 and 100 Gauss, a very, very powerful magnetic field. And I've measured, the distance that this field will travel, and it's about, 10 feet now, and it's very high intensity on a certain area of the body. So sort of where I'm going with this is,
Bob, just question, what if, for the audience that are looking at cells and that have them, what are some of the main benefits that you would be able to say that they get, such as with inflammation or along those lines, or pain relief? Mention some of the things that just by the cell by itself.
Okay, well, the cell by itself, I'm noticing that okay, so you need to move the cell. You have to move it through the Earth's magnetic field. Really, what I found to relieve pain on my body, you have to move it.
Oh, to rub it on the body.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I'll get sort of like a cramp in my leg at night. Do you ever get leg cramps or a cramp when you're sleeping, a leg cramp? And I could get up and I could go in and I could like lay on the mat and it'll go away in about 5 minutes using one of the machines I have.
Yeah.
Or I can just pick up the magnet and just rub it over the area that's got a cramp, and it goes away in about 2 or 3 minutes. So that's definitely will relieve a cramp in that way. And that cramp causes a pain. So this is for sure, I know it does that. However, but I'm moving the magnet over the body. If I just lay it there, it's not doing it. I need to move the magnet. This was something that Franz Anton Mesmer discovered a long time ago when he discovered mesmerism. He was a doctor treating people with permanent magnets. Amazing. And he would move it over the patient's body. So the motion of the magnet is creating this electric field in the body. And so when you add the pulse magnetic field to it, you don't have to move the magnet, because the pulse magnetic field magnet will move the magnetic field through you. So the first thing, the major thing with pain that I noticed is that I was been using pulse magnetic fields and light therapy and everything on 2 root canals, and I was ozone therapy, and the dentist says those root canals, they're coming out. And I says, oh, I want to save them. Oh, I don't want to do the implants of the zirconium. And he says, well, why don't you try, all your machines? And I says, well, I have. And then, I thought about the pure wave cell. So I stuck the cell on top of the magnet, and it pulsed it against my face. In 2 days, the pain went away. And I went back in and did an X-ray on it, because they've been watching the X-rays, and they said, wow, your gums are healing up. Well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. This is my personal experience with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had that on others as well. And these are personal stories, like separate from us. And I like to hear it from the people that are actually doing it. But a lot, I just want people to understand the reason that Bob got to be such a, I hate the word expert, but someone who's incredibly knowledgeable about these fields is because he personally was subjected to, it wasn't always your background, Bob. You were subjected to, when you found out you were becoming very ill and depressed from frequency, that's when you became passionate on it, right? You're speaking a little bit about that is why you got into it, was because of personal health issues. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was an early adopter. My sort of job was, I've always been, a television producer making travel television shows about weird stuff. But in the meantime, I actually had to make this stuff, and I was using computers to do it. So, so when you start using technology that's too much to produce a lot of the things that I was doing, I was just, overexposed to it in my studio. There's electricity and radiation and wireless that's everywhere, and it's affecting, a lot of people. It's Bobby Kennedy's big thing. That's sort of the platform he's running on with Nicole. He wants to tell everybody that, a lot of these chronic health issues that society is facing right now, it's just overexposure to technology, and you got to take a break from it. And some people can't. So you have to use good frequencies, to counter out the bad ones. And that's sort of what my film is about.
No, and I encourage everyone to see it. It is just awesome. But your story really, we just didn't have the time. We could do an hour, everybody, just with Bob's story. It's incredible. What we'll do is we'll break. Can you hear me, Jake? Can you hear me?
I can.
Are you ready to play the video? Can you do that? And then we'll bring Bob back, and he can comment on parts of that, because then they've got a visual to go by, right? So
no, and that's wonderful. And so Braveheart Nation, get ready. And Sage, if you can share with the audio that video that's on the Doc of Detox site under Be Brave.
Yeah, I got it. We'll give it our best shot.
Give it your best shot.
Let's try it again. Let's try it again. Yeah.
Welcome to the world of inventions for energy medicine. I'm Bea Broda. According to the Canadian Association of Professional Apiculturists, Canada lost almost 50% of their bee population in 2022. Researchers at the University of Waterloo feel insecticides are compromising the bee's immune system. Dr. Magda Havas, Professor Emerita at Trent University School of the Environment, believes magnetic fields also play an important role in the health and wellness of the honeybee population.
We did some research at Trent University where we were studying the effects of radio frequency radiation on the bees. We had some beehives at a farm and exposed them to current household items that we have that emit wireless radiation. One of the things we noticed is that the bees started coming out of the hive very, very quickly.
You look at their behavior, they're all just quite happily, they're not running around, they're kind of very settled, they're fanning, they're keeping the place cool. and protect them, because these ones are running up and down at the entrance. The sounds here is not normal.
Dr. Havas is participating in a long-term research study on the use of geomagnetic fields to enhance insect and human immune systems and negate the effects of environmental pollution that may be causing the collapse of the honeybee population. This research is based upon a geometric array of 12 high-intensity magnets that are encased inside a hard enclosure to create a pure wave cell. The opposing polarities of the magnets create a spiral vortex that emanate outwards in all directions. This spiral pattern can be observed with magnetic viewing film. Liquid ferrofluid placed in a dish on top of the pure wave cell shows the invisible, evenly spaced magnetic lines rising upwards. This is an internal view of the magnets. A pure wave cell can be used to control the growth of pathogens. The vortex suppresses bacterial infestation. Spores grown in a petri dish that were not exposed to the magnet shows a proliferation of fungal growth. A study has been completed at Pathogenia food laboratories to determine the efficiency to reduce pathogens in food. Brewer's yeast, E. coli, Staphylococcus, and Listeria were added to meat and fruit and then treated for 5 minutes on the magnetic disc. Ground chicken and raspberries were chosen for inoculation. This study demonstrates 3 forms of Listeria were not reduced in the chicken, but showed almost a 50% reduction in the raspberries. Surprisingly, 1 form of brewer's yeast grew 50% faster in the meat, while another was reduced a similar amount in the fruit. The various forms of E. coli were eliminated in the raspberries. And all forms of Staphylococcus have been significantly reduced. When you immerse food inside a pure wave, there are many examples of how it can prolong the shelf life. Here, cauliflower remains fresh after several days, while unexposed control samples show signs of food spoilage. Research on honey is carried out here.
The first year we had 10 magnets and we were quite happy with it. Last fall we ended up with 30 magnets in the 1 bee yard.
In this yard here, there's about 30 hives. This yard did not get the discs, and when I came in to unpack the hives, half the yard was dead, and the half that survived, there were barely any bees, and they were not looking good at all. And now in this yard, we wintered 30 hives in here. All 30 got the magnetic disc. When I unpacked it, all 30 were alive and overflowing with bees to the point where I had to split almost every hive in this yard. But it's swarming because they've run out of room. Like, it's just a super strong hive.
Dr. Havas feels that the magnets are improving the immune system of the honeybee as they move through the pure wave magnetic field while foraging for nectar in the farms and forest. Many beekeepers have great success with the magnets, not only having a healthy hive, but they have found an increase in the yield of honey. Education plays an important role with the company that produces the magnets. They organize workshops called 4R Bees to teach a new generation of potential beekeepers how to plant wildflower seeds in open pastures to help support the health and wellness of our insect pollinators. For more information on how you can help save the bees, visit 4rbees.com.
Right on.
So that
No, that's
Golden.
great.
So yeah, sometimes we won't hear it from our audio though when it's playing through our screen, but It's playing.
It got it. Okay, good. So
Got it.
everybody got to
Perfect.
see that. That's great. So then back to what I would like to say is, and thank you again, Bob. Bob had a lot to do with some of that footage because he came up and inspected along with Magda Havas when they were doing the study. So some of that you can see is in there. But that all was to do with bees, and of course we showed you the food study. But I think if you notice in there, there was an example where there was a liquid fluid coming up and showing how the frequency worked, and that was done by Bob. You did that as well, didn't you? Do the liquid fluids, and you also were involved in doing some of those food studies. So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so I guess the biggest challenge to try to introduce sort of a subject like magnetism, something that's not a pill, is convincing, the person that's a skeptic that it actually does something. So my job really is to try to make the invisible visible, because I'm a television producer, a video producer. So trying to show it either on a meter or plants growing faster, time-lapse photography, so that it's actually doing something. So what you saw in that film, there is film that you can put over top of a magnet, and you will actually see the north and south poles. So as that piece of film was passed over top of this black sort of cell, you actually saw the structure of the magnet by being combined because of the stressing poles. The magic of that thing is that you're putting a north pole and a north pole against each other, which is causing stress to repel each other, which is creating a free energy type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So and then you can put a fluid over it called ferrofluid, and then you actually can see the magnetic lines of the geomagnetic field. You can see them, that they're coming up actually in sort of like a spiral formation.
Yeah.
So that's the secret, because a permanent magnet will have a north and a south pole, and it'll just go from the south to the top like the Earth. But when you structure in a sacred geometry shape, like what you have done, this is you're creating like a torus, a spiral effect, and the electrons are traveling at the speed of light, and that speed and the push and the energy that you've created from the stressing of the magnets seems to kill pathogens, which you've proven that it does. So I'm just thinking, we're speculating with the scientists and myself, is that when the bee moves over top of the pure wave cell, when they move through that field, is killing the pathogens inside of the bee, which is causing to live longer. And our body is full of pathogens, especially when you get streptococcus, the wrong food you're eating, E. coli, there's all sorts of stuff. So when you're moving this over top of your body, if it's doing it to the bee, it's obviously doing it to you too, right? So
no, that's well said. Well said, Bob. But what I appreciate is, because this is invisible, just like microwaves, all this stuff's invisible for us. And you've been able to show it through these different courses to actually show so that people can see it. But I'll recap again. The reason, and it's in the first episode of our shows, the reason we use that, so neodymium magnets is very important, but the reason it's in that shape or that design, as we talk about on a whole video and a show, is because it's a blueprint of how all of you, insects, plants, that's how we all started out. The first thing we did as a one-cell organism, the first 6 steps we made was to form that shape. It's a blueprint of us. And so we respond at a cellular level to it, which is what Bob is looking into. And what is it? How does it affect it? But that's why it does it. And that's why the shape is so important in there. It's not just at random. So just wanted to recap that and bring in other people such as Bob, who's been instrumental because they're in the field and what they're doing and in his movie and technologies, and it's all health driven. so that when we're talking is we'll do a little recap, Bob and I, on why you would have the cell in your life, the kinds of things that it can do for you. And then I'll bring Jake back in and we can take questions and things like that. So Bob, if I was to list, say, 5 things, 5 reasons why someone like we all have them would purchase the cell or have it in their life, I've got my 5 reasons, but I'll just let you say what are, say, 5 things or a reason why and how you'd use it in your life.
Okay, well, first thing that is obvious because of the studies you have done is that you bring your food that you've been shopping with, your lettuce and all this stuff where you have E. coli, which is, in the chicken and all that stuff, and you just, drop your grocery bag on top of the magnet for 5 or 10 minutes, and, your food is pretty well going to be clean of those pathogens because you've proved that. So everybody can benefit from that. I've been testing the diameter that this thing will actually go, and I have very sensitive Tesla meters. And if I move the magnet about 10 feet away from it, it's moving the meter it's moving the needle on the meter. So it's about 10 feet in diameter as an exposure to it. So I would like to think that if you're, immersed in a lot of unnatural magnetic fields from all the wireless technology, and you have it, sort of sitting on a desk, 2 feet away from you. If it goes 10 feet, 2 feet is quite strong. I would like to think that is countering a lot of the bad frequencies, sort of like, it's countering some of the bad frequencies in the beehive. So that's the next easiest thing to do. Put your glass of water on top of it, use it as a coaster. The case in this thing is like almost like bulletproof. It's almost impossible to destroy. So that would be something that definitely is a cup holder, charging up, cleaning your water of, pathogens that's in the water. That would be, something easy. And drinking the charged water, like that. Moving the magnet over your body. I think everybody's got some sort of pains somewhere, aches and pains and shoulders in the back like that. So that seems to take away the pain, fairly quickly if it's not a long chronic, like it needs surgery type pain. But if it's just this, I'm finding a lot of pain in people are being exposed to because they bring in the wrong frequencies to the body. You absorb it, all this wireless technology, and it causes pain in the neck and the shoulders and just areas of the body. So that removes that, quite quickly. So that would be the third one. Personally, for me, where I'm going with this is that I'm trying to find a way to bring it professionally in use as a complementary therapy where you use it professionally with people that are clinicians that are using it for sort of like hands-on healing, massage therapists, Reiki. So if you want to, increase the power of your hands, the energy from your hand is taking this as a practitioner and, moving it over the body. Now you've got your human biomagnetic field being amplified by the magnet. I could think that is going to do a lot for a type of chiropractor type stuff. And finally, as I had said, is that there's a lot of people out there that got, by pulsed magnetic field therapy machines. And a lot of the people currently right now, they're saying, the more power, the better, it's not, the Gauss is not enough. And you're spending a lot of money on trying to, to make the machine more powerful by having a lot of amplification in it. But, just adding, the pure wave permanent magnet, to the electromagnet, you've got a high intensity, machine now. That's what I'm finding that's going on. So those are my 5 top things.
Yeah, and I would just add, introduce it to your plants, put your plants on top of it. That we're getting great results from that, like just people doing that. and pets. Make sure that if you've got as Bob had, if you've got an ailing pet or something, get it in the pet bed and their food too. So those are just some of the things of all the reasons. Now, on top of that, the cell will last for 20 years minimum before it's losing any strength. So it's a long-term product. It isn't for 1 year or two or recharge it. It's good. It's pretty indestructible, and you can bet that you can use it over the next 20 years. It would lose very little strength because of those neodymium magnets. So I just wanted to mention that. And then, Jake, I'm going to bring you back on. And thank you, Bob, for that, about telling them as to where they can find, how they can go it, and maybe get some questions, right?
Yeah, thanks, Brent. And just let me know if I'm not coming through. Okay, just give me a heads up. And forgive me, everybody, for being on the road and the connection's a little disconnected. First of all, Bob, thank you so much for sharing not just the research you're doing with all these technologies, helping bring the unseen, the invisible, to our presence and the five senses, because the electromagnetic fields, whether it's pulsed electromagnetic fields or just these magnetic fields we're talking about with the pure wave, they're unseen, and they're this fifth element that is unseen, and so that is helping us all connect to it. But also sharing your personal story, Bob. We appreciate you and your collaboration with us, supporting us in sharing not just the story behind this, but how it makes a difference in people's lives. One more thing I just want to add, that because you talked about the animals, you talked about some of the human benefits, but also the animals. Also, I just wanted to share with you guys practical ways we use it in the Cunningham family. We have them in the refrigerator. We have them on the counter for food preparation, just like Bob mentioned. The bedroom, sleep is a big element. And I reviewed this a couple weeks ago, but the way cells regenerate when they are at a state of relaxation, homeostasis, that's when the cells do what they were designed to do. This amazing replacement and regeneration. And when you give the environment a place for which neutralizes pathogens that we've proven through our studies, but also an environment to find that harmony and that grounding and peace. It's another element of benefit where you're allowing the body to do what it was designed to do, rest. In rest is when we repair. And like on the road, we travel with it. Sometimes you have to stop at places you wouldn't normally eat, and so on. So, but Brett, to answer your question, where you would find this is go to Doc of Detox, guys, docofdetox.com. Daryl Wolf and the team have been supporters for us since we've launched last year, getting these products to market, and you can purchase them through them. You can ask questions and get your answers, the Pure Wave Cell, Pure Wave Honey, and learn more. We're here to educate you guys and inform and inspire. We're here to show you where this comes from, how it's used, but also the science behind it. Because yes, mainstream media is on its way, I think, out the door in terms of being the only, if credible at all, credible source. You all, and I commend you all who are listening today, because you are filling your cup and arming yourself with knowledge to make decisions that will have a greater impact on your family and your health and your loved ones, whether you're a professional or for personal use. So I just want to give you all credit. I want to encourage you, ask us questions. We're here. There's a 25-year, 30-year warranty on the cells. These cells ever break, the casing comes off. As long as those magnets are sent back to Daryl and the team at Doc Detox and Brave Heart Nation, you will get a replacement, and it's a lifelong investment.
Pretty much answering some of the questions that are coming in.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so I dropped my magnet walking down the stairs. Is it damaged? So can the like actual magnets inside the casing shift, and will that like deteriorate, I guess, the frequency getting outputted?
Good question. I guess that would depend. So somebody dropped
walking down the
cell.
stairs, so it probably took a tumble.
Okay. If
They said it looks fine.
Yeah. I was just going to say, is there any damage to the outer casing? If there is any damage to the outer casing, and depending on, I mean, I don't know how many times that tumbled or how rattled it got. It would have to be pretty heavy duty to do any damage inside to it. But generally, the rule would be if you see damage on the outside, it would be time to damage on the inside. They should send it back to us if it's really damaged. Other than that, I think he's okay. You're all right with it.
Perfect.
And can I make a note on that? So those
You probably can't make a note on that there, Jake.
Yeah, I think you're a little bit cut out. Okay. Yeah. But are you back?
I saw myself frozen there. Yeah.
Okay,
go ahead. Just
go to the next question. Yeah.
So the next question is, should you have multiple magnets within your home? So like one for the fridge, one for your bedroom, one for your children's room.
Well, listen, Bob was mentioning, and so was Jake. I'm going to let you answer that, Jake, because you have it all over the place. It's a personal use that you can move around. But I'll let maybe Bob, you could answer that question. Somebody's asking, would it be better to have multiple ones around?
Well, it's budgets. I guess it's just, the idea is that you'd want to definitely have one where you work, where you're spending all your time. And if you're willing to take the magnet from your workstation, to your bedroom, that's okay. If you want to take it into your car and you walk around with it, it's not too heavy, but it's something that's going to weigh down your purse for sure.
Would you say it's ideal to have like one in your fridge at all times, though?
It is good.
Go ahead. So there is a certain amount of, once your food has been cleaned, it can't be too clean. Usually when something's in a fridge, it's not going to go bad anyhow.
It's like an iPhone. Once you're at 100%, you're not going to 104.
Right, because you want to put the magnet in an area to get rid of the stuff, and as long as you don't re-expose the stuff, you're probably not going to have a problem. Outside, of the refrigerator, where it's in the sun, it gets hot, and the chicken and everything goes bad. That's when you'd have a problem.
Okay.
Well, and also, Sage, to be fair, it's an economic thing. Ideally, it's nice to have everybody have their own cell and in their own room. But the beauty with this is you can move it around. You can clean food, and then you can go use it over here. So there's an economic value there. But yeah, I mean, it would be great if everybody had their own and they didn't have to move it around. But it's not necessary. Yeah.
Everybody's hive is unique in your circumstance, and so and like Brett said, economic, right? These are an investment into proactive healthcare. And do you have children? Do you have active or elderly parents that live in the home? It just depends. So they're portable, they're durable. I recommend having them all over the place, because we do in our hive, and I love it. Knowing that field is covering that area, I think it's important. At the same time, you just have to customize and do what's right for you. So,
yeah. The other thing, Sage, one last question. There's, or I remember your dad was mentioning people that are on the move a lot. You want to be taking that in a restaurant with you, right? Like, and putting that when that food comes from the restaurant, sit it right on the cell. So that's what's great about it. I know your dad does a lot of that. Right?
Yeah, he does it everywhere we go.
Yeah, because he's on the move. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. And next
We
question.
got 2 more questions. Has it been tested? Is the magnet stronger than a grounding mat?
Well, that's a completely different, grounding mats, to do it properly.
2 minutes.
They usually have a little bit of silver in it, and then you put a stake in the ground, and then you have a good connection to the Earth's magnetic fields. And what that does, it draws the electrons out of your body that you absorb from all the wireless technology and the electricity in your house, and it flows through you into the ground other than you storing it. Now, with the magnets, it's a different process how you're using it. You sort of would want to do both. You're going to want to sleep grounded, which is and sit grounded. However, we're dealing with trying to counteract the frequencies that are coming into your body. So the grounding pulls it out, and the magnet is sort of trying to neutralize it before it gets into your body. So you want to do both.
Understood.
Well said.
So we got one more question, and then Daryl needs to hop on because he has another live starting in the next moment or so. And it's a question that I want to ask too, because we sell hydrogen units, and these hydrogen units have like quite a bit of technology in the bottom of it. Would the magnets mess around with that, or would it actually be amping up the frequency of the hydrogen water?
Well, hydrogen water is a type of electrolysis, where you're putting a lot of electricity in.
Does the magnets affect that
it's
like
only
aspect
going
of
to
it?
probably make it more powerful. That's all it's really going to do.
Beautiful.
Okay, and then I'll just plug in that next week, and then we'll end it next week. We're going to get into, Jake and I are going to get into gut health and specific food. So let's just get into how, as opposed to broad, we'll get into how this can really help you with your food, which is a biggie because it's what we're all exposed to. So we'll get into that next week. So tune in for us on the old gut health and what the cells and the honey do on combination for that. So we're excited to do that with you. And again, Bob, thank you so much for taking time for some of these questions, because nobody has a better answer to it and has researched more than you. So, and Jake, take it off, right?
My pleasure.
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay.
Go ahead,
well,
Bob.
it was definitely my pleasure to share this with you. And, the final thing, I've dedicated to about 10 minutes in my feature film at the end to it. So very shortly, everybody can, instead of watching the little commercial clip, you can watch the whole thing, come to be. Tesla's Medicine. You'll see all the research that's done on it with Dr. Magda Havas.
Exciting. That's exciting.
Bob Conley, thank you, my dear friend, for being our special guest. Thank you for for being brave and telling the stories that are not that are suppressed and not being told. Everybody, check out Tesla's Medicine when it is streamed through all the major platforms. And my partner, Brett Knudsen, and Sage, Daryl, Braveheart Nation, be courageous out there. Be happy, be kind, and be brave. Signing off. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you later.
Thank you, Bravehearts, for joining. I really appreciate it. We will be on next week. Again, same time as always. Be brave, everybody. Have the best day of your life. Till tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's,
Welcome back,
I guess
Bravehearts. This video is dedicated to the true caretakers of this planet.
You did amazing.
All the Braveheart women. It is entitled, I Am a Woman.
You're
Let me
amazing.
just say this.
Your
I
story
know that I
and
am
what you're
not
doing.
a woman,
So I hope.
but I want to tell
I'm going to
you
sign off.
what I think
Daryl
about women.
needs this Zoom.
You
bro.
are beautiful. You are smart, funny, kind, and you are unique. There will never be another like you. You are love and affection. You are never too much, but always enough. You are more precious than any diamond. You are the most amazing of all God's creations. You are worth more than you could ever imagine. Your value is more precious than all the earthly things. You are powerful. You are strong. You are more than capable of doing anything. Good health always seems to be just out of their reach. Whatever happened to self-healing? Whatever happened to self-love? What if women were given a health manual based on BS to look out for humankind? 3, 2, 1. Unleash your feminine power.